Okay, so maybe I didn't actually go to outer space, but Newcastle is close enough. It's set to be an awesome night as I'm going to see one of my favourite bands of all time, Space. It's their 25th anniversary tour, and yes, that does make me feel very old. I first saw Space around 6 years ago, but this time round was even more epic. What made it even more special was finally getting all the band's signatures on my copy of the first release of Neighbourhood. And here is my fully signed single. I got this, it would have been in March 1996. So I'd have been 15 years old, and I've still got the price sticker on it, so I got it from HMV. So we got Tommy on the front, which I got at the time when I met them. I think it might have been 96 or it might have even been 97. They did a signing later in that year. They were playing a festival in Norwich that I didn't go to, but I got to meet them. And then on the back, now have the full set. Because at the time, the day, Franny was not there. So he kindly signed that for me after the gig, which was awesome. I just love Space. I have done, obviously, since the beginning. They're just so different to so many other bands, and they just have a unique sound, and I've just always loved them. I love the first album, but Tin Planet. I love this edition especially because it is in a tin. See what I did there? And I opened up this the other day before I went to the gig to play the CD, and then I realised it had one of these little cards in it, Space Fan Club. And then on the back you fill in your details. I just thought, I miss these days. I miss the days where you used to get postcards in, you'd send off, and sometimes you get like cool stuff back. I think to join the Space Fan Club, it was £12. There is a little part of me that is tempted to actually whack a stamp on it and send it off and see what I get. Nothing, I suspect, but it would be so cool. And it's even cute. It says, have you enclosed a passport size photo of your membership card? So I'm really gutted that I never did at the time. I'd love a Space membership card. I obviously can't play any tunes off this album due to copyright, but I would say my favourite track off this is 1 O'Clock, so I'll perhaps try and put a link in the description so you can hear it. And it's just such an epic tune. And Jamie obviously left the band for a while, has come back for the 20th anniversary tour, and it's one of the songs he sings. So although I have seen Space a few years back, he wasn't with them, and I've never heard this track live, so it was absolutely epic. I nearly cried, had tears in my eyes because it was just so wonderful to hear it. It's just such a tune, so go and look it up. Also, Disco Dolly on here is just such a cool tune, and they did that actually as their encore as well as Neighbourhood, and it was just cool. We just all went crazy dancing because it is a bonkers dance tune. One thing that was particularly cool at the gig, they had a really good merch stand, including vinyl. I know, it's so cool because I used to have quite a big record collection, mainly Beatles stuff to be fair, but I sadly and regrettably sold it.
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me!
So I'm sort of getting my collection up a bit, and most of it I'm finding like random charity shop record. So it's nice to get the odd new album as well. And actually it's the first time I've seen it at the gig, but I hadn't actually opened it, so should we just have where's the paper inside? So that's pretty cool. The reason I got so excited by this is... See, I love see-through plastic at the best of times. And what makes see-through plastic better? When it's a space record. Seriously, how cool is this vinyl? I did want to get the Spiders one as well, I must confess, but they're a little bit pricey. This is the only problem with records now, because they are such small runs. I kind of appreciate they have to be a bit more expensive, but it was £30. So for the both it would have been £60, and I couldn't really justify it. And this one, it was see-through, couldn't resist. And where are we? We're in the most magical place on earth, really, aren't
We're back in Alton Towers again for, must be at least double figures now.
we? It must be. It's a good day, new ride. We will see what goes on. Bye! Buy him. Why wouldn't I buy him? Why wouldn't I buy him?
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't.
Put your hands in the air if you want to go faster.
Stop. Don't stop. Don't.
Everybody just scream!
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't.
That's what's going on. Second ride of the day. Hex. Maybe a bit gentler if they can come on this one. Look, she's ready to go. She's eager. She's like, come on. So, first ride of the day, verdict.
Alright.
She kept her eyes open and everything in Hex.
I did for a second because I got a little bit dizzy, but it was okay.
I know, 5-star review there.
Do not, here I come.
So we've just been on Curse of Alton Manor. I don't know what to think. What do you think?
It's alright, but it was lacking a story. There wasn't really much about it. Like, I didn't really get what was going on. You got certain bits that I didn't get because there wasn't like
I got the
a
weird
focus on it. Yeah, you can tell if we just said if it was a temporary Halloween.
Yeah, it would be really good, and I really
Yeah.
wanted to love it, and I should love it because it's like all the kind of stuff I like, the spooky dolls and that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I want my haunted house back. I will reserve judgment. I will go on it again, but I know I'm controversial, but we'll see. We'll try it again. See what we think. But for the minute, So we're going to attempt round 2 of the Curse of Alton Manor and see if we can change our minds. Depends if the queue's long, because we f***ing hate queuing. Thanks for checking out. So I'm doing a second review of Alton Manor. I've changed my mind. I actually like it more than I thought I did. I think I didn't really understand some of it when I went around the first time because I didn't like watch or read anything online, so it literally was just went in blind. But going around the second time, I'm like, I kind of get it. And again, I don't really want to give any spoilers, so I won't say what I saw. But no, it's better than I thought. Still not fantastic, still doesn't blow my mind, but no, much better. So maybe a third, fourth time I'll fall in love, who knows? I'm seriously sad right now. Honestly. Favourite ride, closed. But I think they're building some kind of viewing platform, so at some point, hopefully, you should be able to go and look and see what the work is, and I will be up there as soon as I can. For now, it's going to be a long summer. What? I don't understand what an upside down mug is.
It's a mug that looks upside down. Oh, it is actually an upside down mug, so this is the way you drink from it.
That's actually really irritating. Why would you want to drink out of it upside down? Oh, is it because I suppose when you store it in a cupboard, it looks like a cat?
Oh, there we go. So use as an ornament or use as a mug or both.
That is amazing.
Or you can have a telltale mug. Oh, that's cute. The handle's a tail.
Oh, I come. Time to judge the merch time. Looks like no one wanted the Merlin pass. Which does. I like these. Oh, is that the unit? Oh, I love the unit. They sell like, it looks like Star Unicorn. It's brilliant.
They're still not selling on those mugs.
No. I've got so many Alton Towers mugs. That doesn't mean I won't buy any more. Top trumps. Is that a ram's horn bear? He's kind of cool. That's it. First trip to Alton Towers of the year. First of many, that's for sure. If I look nervous today, that's because I am. Because in about half an hour or so, I'm going to get picked up and taken to my driving test. That is something I never thought I'd ever be able to say. In fact, I didn't think I'd ever even learn how to drive. I remember when I first started driving back in Norwich, I had a few lessons. I was like, I'm never going to be able to change gear in a car. It just seemed the most alien concept. So many things going on. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And now, like, I suppose it's about a year after I started lessons here. Sometimes I still feel a bit of that. And I sometimes think, well, I can't really drive, but obviously I can because my fantastic instructor says I can, Sue. So we're going to see what happens. Nerves are definitely rising, but I'm trying to fight them because I know they're not going to help me. And if anything, they'll be my downfall because I can drive. I just need to convince myself sometimes that I actually can. And a little sidetrack, the outfit I decided to wear. I decided to wear something comfy. I decided to wear my Disney Couture necklace that says believe on it. Because we do need to believe. And I'm also going to get my ring, my Talbot ring that says ready to accomplish on it. Because we are going to accomplish. Just jeans, comfy shirt. just comfort really. Sorry if this TMI, but I think I've been to the loo about 20 times this morning and probably still think I need to go. I've drank 2 massive cups of tea, but ages ago, because I don't obviously want to go during the test, so I'm probably going to be a dehydrated prune by the end of it. Which, you know, Faye will tell me off because she's always telling me to drink more. But that's the thing, the anxiety on certain things just rises, and if I can just eliminate that, just focus on the test, not whether I need to go to the bathroom or not. Sorry, TMI, I know. It just seems crazy to be sitting here talking about potentially having my driving licence at the end of the day. Because it's something I never thought I could do or I would have. And it will mean so much more freedom. And it will mean I can go places and do places and have independence. And if I fail, I fail. I'll do it again because I know I won't be far off passing if I do fail. And at least I'll have had a test run. So I'm not going to beat myself up too badly. I know I say that now, but I might do still to be hard on myself. But at least I can pretty confidently say at least by the end of this year I will have a licence, whether it's today or whether it's further down the line. Because I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it. Let's cross everything it's today. We'll see you later. Oh, you'll find out. I failed! I know. Gutted. But let's just say there is a little bit of a story behind my failure, which I'll tell you while I make some peanut butter and jelly granola, because why not?
It's peanut butter jelly time! Peanut butter jelly time!
So the recipe my granola is based on is by Jack Monroe. She is fab. She does, as you can tell, cooking on a bootstrap and often does like sort of cheaper, simpler recipes. She's done, I think it's marmalade granola that's in this book, but she also did a version, I think, for the Guardian, which is like more of the peanut butter jelly version that I'm doing today with a bit of a twist. But I can't recommend this book enough. It's just so much good stuff and it's all really cheap and easy to make. I apologise in advance, I'm not really giving proper quantities in this because I do just tend to make a mega batch, chuck it all in. So like I said, I'll link the recipe if you want a bit more of a refined measurements. To make the basic granola though, you just need some peanut butter. All of these products I tried to go for the value thing because one, you try to save money, and two, they taste just as good, and to be honest, often they're made by the more expensive brands anyway. So we've got peanut butter, I prefer crunchy. I'm suspicious of people who eat smooth. Just some strawberry jam, but I mean you can use any flavour you like. Basic porridge oats, nothing exciting, and oil. I think this is rapeseed oil. I just tend to use that and cook because I don't want to buy anything different. I think in the recipe it's vegetable oil. I suppose you could use olive oil, but I don't know if that would like alter the flavour. So let's discuss the driving test. Well, I kind of got myself into a really good mindset, which I was very surprised about, and Sue came to pick me up, I think it was about 12:30ish, and we roughly had about an hour and a half before my test, in which we were planning to practice manoeuvres like reverse bay park, parallel park, that kind of thing. Anyway, we get into the car, everything's fine, I just pull off, but then Sue's just like sort of goes, oh my god, and at first I thought there was some traffic coming that I hadn't seen or something, and she was like, there's a warning light on the dashboard. And I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, I know cars throw them up. So we went and parked around the corner, and she said, just turn your engine off. So we did, and we thought, well, because sometimes these things are just blips, you turn it back on and then the warning light disappears. So we went around the corner, gave it a couple of minutes, turned the car back on, warning light flashes on the dash. And it's at this point I realised that they won't let you take a car out on your test if there's any warning lights like that, which is obviously understandable because while it could just be something on the sensor, it could be the most minor thing, they don't know, they can't tell, so it's not necessarily safe to go on the test, even though technically the car could be very perfectly safe to drive still. It was at this point like it started to dawn on me that I would not be driving the car I'd learned in, the car I've driven 99% of my time in my test. which was actually weirdly, that's like one of my worst nightmares, having to change the car or anything. But I don't know what happened. I just became very, very calm and fatalistic. And I even said that to Sue, because she was obviously quite stressed and understandably upset. But I was like, maybe this is just the way this is gonna go. Maybe this is just fate. I just have to go with it. I don't know. I was just very chilled. But I think I can be quite like that. I can be really stressed about absolutely nothing. And then when you like throw a bit of a crisis at me, I just can handle it. It was very strange. So for the first part of the granola, we take the jam. And I'm pretty generous, like I say, I make a massive batch of this. I might even use probably most of the jar actually. Maybe half, 3/4. Like I say, my measurements are pretty vague and I kind of eyeball it because I've made this so many times. So you put your jam in your bowl, and you need approximately 2 tablespoons of whatever oil you're using. You put that in there. Again, hopefully this matches the recipe. It might not. And then this just needs to go in the microwave. Do it in small bursts. You basically just want to melt it all together enough that when you mix the oats in, it coats them nicely. So I'm just going to put that in the microwave. Helps if you turn it on. I'll give it 30 seconds at first. After it's had its 30-second blast, you just stir it. It's not melting very much at the minute. And then I'll probably put it only in for 20 because you do not want exploding jam in your kitchen, believe me. That's the right consistency now. I've just transferred it into another bowl. You can use the same bowl from the beginning. I just have to transfer it because this one has a spout that gets stuck in the microwave, yet the oats don't fit in the other one. Now we're going to add the oats into the mixture. Do a bit at a time because like I say, I'm eyeballing it, so you kind of don't want it bone dry, but you don't want it really gooey. It needs to sort of be more of a coating. But if you think about how granola is, it's sort of crunchy to a certain extent and it's not like gooey, so you kind of have to almost get that consistency, and then baking it will dry it out a little bit more after it's set. That's a pretty good consistency now. It's not too dry. Most pieces are coated, but it's not all soggy. I think I must have used just a little over half, so maybe it is pretty much like 3/4 of a jar of jam, 3/4 of a pack of porridge oats if you're going to get a rough ratio. Driving test story time, part 2. So we're sitting in the car and it's obviously realised that this car I'm driving in will not be the one I do my test in. And my instructor's, right, we're going to try and find another car. Which again, it does fill me with horror, but I'm very weirdly calm about. And she's phoning other instructors to see if there's another dual control car we can borrow. But no one's answering, or the one person that does she can get hold of has a puncture. And to be honest, I just thought, well, it's game over. And a thought did cross my mind then, oh, it's not too late in the day, maybe we should just go to Towers. But she was so determined, and I'm glad, because I think part of my anxiety would be like, oh, this is a good reason to get out of it. But no, it wasn't. For this next part, we need to just wrap a tray in greaseproof paper. I use a really huge tray because I do make this in quite big quantities. So you can always use something smaller if that's all you've got. Or if you want to make a life supply of granola, get a big tray like this. Tray is nicely covered, so then we just literally put the granola on the tray. Doesn't have to be fancy, just literally dump it out. And we'll just spread it to one side because we are going to have, obviously the other side will be peanut butter, and they kind of merge and you end up mixing them together really anyway. And eventually we ended up insuring her son's car, which was at her house. And if you think about this, with the clock is ticking all the time, getting close to my test, and I think tomorrow I had my test about 40 minutes or so, so it's not exactly just down the road a little bit. So we're trying to get this car insured, but we don't know if it's happening or not. Her son's trying to arrange it for him. Thank you so much for sorting that out, I have to say. And we drive to her house in the next village over. And then we were sort of there a while, because you know what it's like on insurance companies, you're on the phone for ages. And then we get the, yeah, you're added to the insurance. And we literally ran out to this car. And then maybe that's when I started to think, I've not actually driven this car before. But again, I don't know, I just didn't freak out. I was like, okay, this is what it is. And we'll just get in the car and we just gotta go. Because again, I think it was getting to the point where we were gonna be late. And it was like, are we actually gonna make the test on time? Because they're very strict, understandably. I think you get a 5-minute grace period at the very most. And it was gonna get very near to whether we could go or not. So I get in this car, but the first thing I notice is the handbrake. And in the car that I've learnt in and driven all the time, it's got, I don't know if it's like a, I'm going to describe this really badly, sorry. It's like when there's this little flap, just flip a flap up, flip a flap up to put the handbrake on, and to disengage it, you just literally use the pedals and then it just goes off. So it's pretty easy to use and it's just what I'm very familiar with. But obviously this has the more traditional handbrake and I've not really used them, so it was like, oh. So it was another kind of worst nightmare situation, driving, and I'm not just driving an unfamiliar car, but with something I've not really done before. But I was like, well, it is what it is. Again, fate, I just felt, had thrown me this curveball and we just had to go with it. Now to make the peanut butter side, you just literally repeat what I've just done with the jam. So melt some of this down with 2 tablespoons of oil. When it's good enough to coat the oats, again, mix with the oats and then we'll add the jam half. One thing to note when you're doing the peanut butter half, that it doesn't stay together as much as the jam side does. It's just not as sticky. And even at the end when you've baked it and you break it, it will be a little bit crumblier, but that's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's just not as bonding as jam. That's the 2 halves together. You can see the jam side's got a little pinky tinge. That's all got a peanut-y colour. Like I said, at the end we'll just mix it all together anyway. But I don't know why I like to cook them separately when I'm doing it. Oven temperature, I put it on 180. I don't think the instructions say that, but I think everything cooks at 180, doesn't it? Well, it does in this house. So that now just needs to go in the oven. I probably don't put it too high, just want it to catch. And I will put it in there. I think I normally do it sort of 7 minutes, and then I'll take it out and stir it. But again, just keep an eye on it. You don't want to catch at the edges. Granola's in the oven, so it's time for part 3 of my driving test story. So we've got a car. We haven't got long to get there. But this is like my chance to get as familiar as possible with this car I've never sat in before. And obviously, so it goes, we need to put your foot down safely and obviously legally. But looking at the time, I think my test was due, it was not time, it was like 12 minutes past 2, it was very precise. But I don't think we got there till 20 past. So we pull up into the test centre and Sue just like goes, run in, and she parks up the car for me. And I go in and there isn't anyone there. So I'm like, right, I'm going to the loo. But as soon as I come out, the lady who was going to do my test, my examiner, comes out and she's like, you're 10 minutes late, but in these circumstances, we can actually take you out. So I didn't really get a breather after all this like stress getting there. And it was just like, right, go out, have your test right now. This now had about 7 minutes in the oven. So see the edges, I don't know if they're slightly catching, they're getting a bit golden. So I just kind of go around stirring it. Again, it doesn't matter if you mix up. You will find the jam side is quite gooey because obviously the jam melts in the heat even more, but it will set once it's cooled down, so don't worry and think it's going to be a bit gooey because it will all work out in the end. Put that back in the oven for the same again, about 7 minutes. If yours is looking like it's catching, perhaps don't do it as long, maybe turn the heat as long, just use your judgment.
A few minutes later.
That's now out of the oven. You can see the edges are sort of, there's caught a little bit. They're more goldeny brown, so that's ready. And then you just leave it to cool down completely, and then we can add all the fun bits. While the granola cools, let's have part 4. Okay, so now I've gone out the test centre. Like I said, feeling still very fatalistic about the whole thing. I don't know, I suppose I didn't have the highest hopes of passing, considering the circumstance, but thought I may as well just have a go. I'm here, may as well just get on with it. So just around the corner from the test centre, there's a set of traffic lights that are on a steepish kind of hill. And as I approached, the lights turned red and I thought, I'm going to have to use this handbrake. I thought, well, I kind of know how to use it. Sue had sort of instructed me. I had used one only like a couple of times in this dual control hire car. I've used a couple of times, but literally I haven't really used one. So I just pulled it up and thought, well, we'll just have to see how this goes. And unfortunately, when the lights did turn like green, I was able to take it off, but I didn't give it enough gas because the bite point was a bit different because I think it was a smaller engine car. And I started to roll back and the examiner had to tell me to put my foot on the foot brake. And I think I knew pretty much at the point I was like, I have failed. But I was like, well, may as well try my best and continue. And the rest of the test, to be fair, was fine, or I perceived it at the time to be fine. And I don't know, it didn't faze me as much as I thought it would. I just thought, I'm just gonna drive. And then there was another point, another set of traffic lights. It wasn't on a hill, but I stalled again because the handbrake. And I didn't know if that was a fail or anything. So I was like, well, it's fine. And I got the forward bay park and I did that straight in. I kind of almost felt a bit too confident because he pulled in this car park and shit anywhere. And I just went, okay then, and just literally did it. Lined up, turned, I went in and I opened the door and just saw it. She was like, yeah, you're in. So we get back to the test centre. Sue comes over to hear my result and the lady just said, unfortunately, you failed. And I was a bit like, nah, I get it. I knew I had. I didn't feel too bad about it. And when I looked at my results, it was literally on those 2 points of the handbrake that I failed. Everything else, I think I had maybe 5, maybe it was 7 actually, minors. There wasn't anything like horrendous, but it was all related to that handbrake. So if that hadn't have happened, I would have passed. And I think that's kind of blows my mind. I was that close to passing in those circumstances. And now for the fun bit. So this has had plenty of time to cool, and so it's kind of quite solid and set, which is what you want, but at the same time you want to start breaking it up into smaller granola pieces. So that's all broken up into pieces. If you do find any large bits, you can just batch them apart. So I then put it in my cereal box, but I add some extras to the recipe, which I layer up between when I put it in. So we have a mixture of like seeds and things. I've got sultanas, salted peanuts. These are just like the pretty much value supermarket ones. They just give really nice crunch and extra peanutty flavour. Chocolate chips, because I do love a chocolate chip in cereal. And if you're feeling very decadent, I also crumble up cookies because they really absorb the milk nice. I wouldn't normally use Maryland, use normal value, but we're treating ourselves today. Then it's just a case of layering it up in the tub. And this is where you have to make sure the lid is well and truly on. So that's the peanut butter and jelly granola. Obviously I appreciate mine's quite sweet with a few sweet treats in there, so you can make a healthier version by changing up what you put in it or omitting a few things. But it's really, really good, topped with chopped banana, a bit of natural yogurt and a bit of milk. So give it a go. The whole driving test experience, it felt almost like a movie at times. It really did. It was crazy. It was almost like all my worst fears and nightmares rolled into one. And this is going to sound crazy in itself, but I'm actually really glad what happened. I even felt that like as soon as I failed, I was like, oh well, it's okay because I was so close to passing despite everything that happened that day. It's definitely built my confidence up in a weird way because I know I can handle the pressure when it really comes down to it. I know I can actually drive. I drove a car I'd never driven. I drove it there. I did a test and nearly passed my test. So I think if the circumstances like as they should be, I'm gonna pass. Not that I don't want to be cocky, because like that'll be famous last words. I'll do something really stupid in my next test. And I'll get there in the end. And like I say, I'm glad it happened. It's weird to say it, but honestly, I feel like I'd do anything. Well, maybe not anything. I'll just pass my test first before I get too cocky. I apologise in advance. So we're starting a garden business apparently now. Well, I already have one.
I've developed yours and decided I can better it.
I'm sorry, what was that? You can better my business? Oh my god, I all zoomed in. You're so happy right now. Look at that face. That's the biggest smile I've seen in years.